Meet Greg and Wirt in brand new Over the Garden Wall. Started next on Cartoon Network.
And now it is time for the honorable mention. For Cartoon Network, I decided to look upon one of their special projects that came from the channel. Of course, the network would offer more than just animated series, like movies, short cartoons, and even live action shows. But it's probably best that we don't talk about the last one. However, the one thing that Cartoon Network decided to experiment in the mid-2000s is with miniseries. However, the majority of them are just little specials of already existing series like Adventure Time and Clarence. And then there's this one. Not only was this the first Cartoon Network miniseries, but it was also one of the most acclaimed shows that they have ever released at the time. And so, in 2014, audiences had the opportunity to experience Over the Garden Wall.
It's the story of two half-brothers named Wirt and Greg, who are lost in a mysterious forest called the Unknown. Their goal is to simply find their way home, but with the accompaniment of a talking bluebird named Beatrice, they would encounter many strange inhabitants of the unknown and try to avoid an evil being called the Beast. For the creator of the show, Patrick McHale, the journey of making the series was as much of a crazy journey as it was for Wirt and Greg in the Unknown. It all started 10 years before its premiere, where McHale thought up of an idea for a story that would contain some elements of adventure and some horror. After he graduated from Cal Arts, he would pitch it to Cartoon Network in 2006 as a Halloween special. But it didn't work out because he failed to find a great story arc that could really hook viewers into the project. However, McHale wouldn't leave Cartoon Network right after. Instead, he stayed in the studio in order to work on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack as a storyboard artist, and after that would become a creative director and writer for Adventure Time. Once he established himself more prominently at the studio, the network asked him if he would be interested in making a pilot. This was the perfect opportunity to give his idea a second chance. After polishing his original concept in 2013, Cartoon Network released his animated short that would serve as the pilot called Tome of the Unknown, Harvest Melody, where Wirt, Greg, and Beatrice would meet a man made of vegetables named John Crops and bring him to his version of the big city. The short would end up becoming a huge success in festivals and would win 2 Emmy Awards for the work done in the backgrounds. Now with more confidence, knowing that this would be a hit on the channel, the executives decided to greenlight McHale's project for Cartoon Network. When it was developed into a show, some of the voice actors for the short also returned to reprise their roles, including Elijah Wood as Wirt and Colin Dean as Greg. The only one that didn't come back was Natasha Leggero as Beatrice, and in her place would be Melody Linsky.
I'm stumped. It's all just vegetables to me.
I'll say, you don't even know how to start the engine.
Okay, Wirt, I'll admit it. You seem like a pushover, but you're not.
Oh?
Deep down in your heart, you're a stubborn jerk. When are you gonna give this up?
Maybe never.
As for the rest of the voices, the series would be well known for its use of an all-star cast, including John Cleese, Tim Curry, Chris Isaak, Jack Jones, Christopher Lloyd, Samuel Ramey, and more. When crafting the world of Over the Garden Wall, McHale had several sources of inspiration. These include the illustrations of children's books during the 1800s, folk art, the layout of French illustrator Gustave Doré, the animation of Walt Disney's Alice comedies from the early 1920s, and classic American music from the early 20th century. For the latter, while he wanted to include some songs onto the project, Pat avoided making the series into a Broadway show by not devoting too much time to the songs, which is why it's very rare that a musical number would be heard from start to finish without someone talking on the side.
And why, yes, why is the question that's on my mind. Oh, why?
Hey, dunce, this is dreadful.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way.
As for the animation, since they proved to be strong artists by winning their Emmys on the pilot, background painter and layout designer Nick Cross and Chris Tsirgiordis were assigned to be the series' art directors. Originally, it was supposed to be set as an entire series lasting 3 seasons, But during the middle of production, McHale and the network felt like a better idea would be to make it as a 10-episode miniseries that would later have a combining length of a little less than 2 hours. The series would officially premiere on Cartoon Network on November 3rd, 2014, presenting the entire show during that week, and critics were giving it great praise, stating that it has the perfect balance of being lightheartedly funny and being dark and creepy, while also maintaining an engaging fairy tale-like story. The miniseries would get 2 additional Emmy Awards and a Reuben Award from the National Cartoonist Society. During the time it aired on television, Kaboom released a comic book adaptation of the show that was supervised by McHale himself and illustrated by storyboard artist Jim Campbell. The comic would later become equivalently a hit as much as the TV show that it would later spin off an entire comic series, chronicling more of Wirt and Greg's adventures in the unknown, including a follow-up where Greg goes back to the Dreamland, and a prequel that showed how the woodsman's daughter got lost in the unknown, and would get McHale an Eisner Award for the comics. With the way fans would cheer for this as one of the greatest shows of Cartoon Network, it really goes to show that if dreams can't come true, then why not pretend?
In conclusion, not only did Cartoon Network revolutionize animation, but it also made a huge impact in the television industry. What began as a channel that would reintroduce classic cartoons like Hanna-Barbera and the Looney Tunes to a new generation would become the home of some of the most acclaimed animated series in the modern era. It is a place where it is not afraid to take risk and allow artists and animators to fully unleash their creativity in order to make some of the most surreal and original shows that has ever hit the small screen. It is also known to be an innovator, where it was the first network to fully take animation seriously, not just something to fill in the schedule to get the kids watch their channels at a specific time, but as an entire art form that can be presented as its main selling point. A promise to always deliver cartoons both old and new that are capable of delivering something for everyone. For many years, it would continuously place its mark in pop culture, where everybody would end up with a memory of having fun with at least one of their shows in their channel. However, what ended up becoming is not a network. It is an entire world where many colorful characters would come together, called Cartoon Network. And now, to finish things off, I'm going to count down the top 10 Cartoon Network shows.
Here we go. Number 10, Codename Kids Next Door. Number 9, Johnny Bravo. Number 8, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Number 7, Samurai Jack. Number 6, Ed, Edd and Eddy. Number 5, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Number 4, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Number 3, Dexter's Laboratory. Number 2, Adventure Time. And number 1, The Powerpuff Girls. The original series by Craig McCracken. Well, that's all I've got for Cartoon Network.
Sadly, not all of you could join me next time, because only adults are allowed to see the story of the man who proved that animation is much more than just for kids. And I will say though that for those of you who are younger in the audience, I guess you are allowed to go and check out some of his family pictures. Well, anyways, see you later, dudes.